mature EU continental gambling markets at a turning point.
Good morning once again. Today our panel will be discussing a number of interesting jurisdictions in continental Europe which have been quite evolving in these last months. So years actually, not months. So with me I have Alina from WH partner, Simion and Partners from Bucharest, Quirino from WH Partners Italy, and Ricardo from the Portuguese association of the Gambling Association, right? Thank you. So I wanted to start with a general question first and foremost. What are the current challenges which our industries, our jurisdictions are facing, which are maybe you can say are common for all of us, especially when dealing with the regulators? So maybe I can start with Ricardo? Yes,
okay.
sure.
Yeah,
Ricardo,
me.
yes,
Yeah.
please, yes.
Sure. I mean, from the Portuguese market perspective, the market has been regulated for 9 years, and after 9 years, what we're seeing, there hasn't been any changes at the law level. We're seeing that we've reached a ceiling in terms of channelization. So I'd say that the unlicensed market is really one of the biggest challenges. Currently, it stands at about 40%. 40% of the consumers are still playing on illegal markets. And from the regulator perspective, I think this happens a bit throughout Europe. It's always easier to target the licensed operators and apply restrictions and look at RG and advertising and all of these topics, but they pay very little attention to the unlicensed market. So I think the challenge is really to focus the regulator on a collective effort to reduce the amount of illegal activity and increase the channelization on the Portuguese market.
Alina.
Yeah, on the same front that Ricardo was talking about, fighting against black market. This is a challenge that we also are facing in Romania. And one of the latest developments in Romania was the release of a draft order from the Romanian National Gambling Office imposing obligations on B2B suppliers to notify the regulator of any agreements they have anywhere in the world, internationally, with any unlicensed operator in Romania. This has raised a lot of questions. Of course, is this level of regulatory involvement justified? How much added administrative burden will this create for suppliers? And most importantly, will this move foster greater compliance and actually fight against the black market, or will simply add friction for reputable businesses? The order is still in draft. We had an open discussions with the regulator who was open to hear the market's concerns and the regulatory negative implications that such a requirement would have in Romania. And I think this is the kind of initiative that we need to create a stable framework, to foster greater collaboration between the regulators and the industry players.
So will this affect those Romanian B2Bs?
Yes.
Who, notwithstanding they are offering their service outside of Romania, they will still have to report, notwithstanding maybe that their clients are not even targeting Romania.
Exactly. And in addition to that, they also would have to oblige their B2C partners to sign an affidavit saying that they will not offer their services to Romania unless they will get a license.
Okay, so they're trying to use the B2Bs as a
To
police,
to police
on
the
the
market.
B2Cs.
Yes.
Quite interesting development there. Quirino.
Yeah. Challenges for the Italian market that I can envisage are basically the uncertainty that we have around the next license tender. There will be 2 license tenders, one only for the online gaming licenses and eventually one for the terrestrial licenses. We should expect the online gaming license tender to be called sometime in Q1 25. That's what we also heard from our own regulator at a conference in Rome a few weeks ago. But Italy being Italy, you never really know if that is going to happen. We heard this also over the past few years, and we're still waiting for the tender rules to be out. We seem to be at the final stage of this long process. The regulations are currently, the technical regulations attached to the tender are currently at the scrutiny by other member states. The standstill period is due to lapse on the 18th of November. After that, we will only be missing the final seal of approval by the Italian Council of State. This amounts to an administrative check, nothing more. So everything is supposedly in place for the timeline that I mentioned to be met. But again, I would not put that in writing, to be clear. So the first element of challenge is associated with this still uncertain timeline, which doesn't allow operators to do, ahead planning and to get ready for the tender. And then the next challenge is the tender rules. I mean, the licensing fee will amount to an astounding 7 million, bearing in mind that the previous licensing fee was 200,000. So it's 35 times higher.
Quite a jump.
And this is quite a bit of a challenge for people willing to enter the market.
Most probably this also will reduce the number of people entering, seeing maybe number of consolidation in relation to
absolutely.
brands.
I would say that the clear intention, the clear aim of the Italian authorities is to have fewer operators and much bigger, which simplifies the supervising job, the auditing job, and everything else. You have to bear in mind that at the moment we have something like 87 pure online gaming licenses in operations, which is a bit too much, a bit too many, because most of those licenses are not making any money. The top operators are in good shape, and that's the only ones that are supposed to benefit from the next license tender. The third and final element of challenge is the peculiarity of the Italian online gaming system, which is one of its own, and to have a platform that is, as required by the regulations, fully interfaced with the central control system, that is per se a bit of a challenge, because the operator will have to have in place a platform that is entirely designed to dialogue in real time, 24/7, with the central control system. And this requires the adoption of a number of technical communication standards, which require, in turn, a bit of time for the developers to adopt. So, let alone the timing associated with the license tender, another element of challenge will be how much time will a newly licensed operator require to actually go live. And this is based on what I have seen in the previous licensing rounds. This could be anything between 6 months and 2 years from the time the license is granted.
So we're seeing in Italy a tender process which currently is challenging on preparatory because we don't know exactly the timelines, the financial side of it, and the technical side of it.
But, sorry, and the cherry on the pie is a blanket gambling advertising ban.
Of course.
That is also another challenge.
So you need to pay 7 million, we said, and you can't even advertise. And you cannot advertise.
7 million and you have your license.
But you cannot advertise.
Exactly.
Exactly. So you have also quite a challenge in bringing your brand to the public. Just one last question. Will this change the approach in relation to B2Bs? Or the Italian authority will still be focusing on the B2Cs?
Robert, you have to forgive me, but I didn't catch your question. Sorry,
I'm sorry.
So much noise
It's
here.
too much noise. So the question was, is the Italian new tender process continue focusing on the B2Cs and still not regulating B2Bs?
No, there will be no, this is not going to happen. B2B is not subject to any licensing in Italy. And it will continue to be so. Unlike, also, we will finally get some breaking news from Spain as well. So I don't want to steal too much time, and I want to let you introduce Santi now. But yeah, the answer is no, B2B will be required to be licensed. The only thing is B2B providers will need to have their product or their platform vetted and approved by the Italian regulator. That's all.
Hi, Santi. Hi. Thank you for joining us. I know it's been a struggle to arrive here.
I might need a couple of minutes.
Oh, yes. We're still on time. We're still on time.
I know it's a short panel.
Yes. So, Santi joining us from Spain. We were just doing a brief roundup, actually, of our jurisdiction challenges that we're facing currently and that we've been facing in the last months and years. How about Spain? What is the latest development? What are we looking for?
Well, the latest development in Spain are probably like traffic in Malta, slow and subject to improve. I would say mainly, the regulator is developing IT regulations at the moment. One of them is the term in order to keep the data retention. In order the data retention was 4 years for operators. Now, was 6 years. Now it's going to be 4. Given that, in terms of AML, it will be 6 years. 10 years. Okay. According to the regulator, this reduction of the term is in order to make operators' life easier. Quite frankly, I don't know what is the point, but yeah, that's what they say. Then the internal control system, which is at the end of the day, the vault that registers all the operations, all the gaming operations that happen in Spanish soil. Now it needs to be located in Spain, and according to European principles, the regulator is changing that and is moving it to the European Union. So now the vault that registers those operations needs to be anywhere in the European space. Further to that, the data model is changing, particularly in 2 grounds. One of them, the game sessions is going to be implemented in casino games. Until now, it was only in slots. And the other one is that from now on, the categories of young players, intensive players, etc., will need to be implemented as well. Last but not least, there is a system for deposit limits that will be that is in the regulatory process starting right now. It's in the trees, but once it is published in the Spanish Royal Gazette, then it will have a delay of a vacatio legis of 12 months. That said, in terms of advertising, you might recall that in April this year, the Supreme Court declared void and null some of the provisions that our advertising decree had. But guess what? The regulator said, okay, this that you have declared void and null because it was unproportional or because it was not in the right regulatory tool. Instead of a decree, it should have been approved in a law, in an act. Then the regulator said, okay, let's try to make it instead through a gaming regulatory tool. We're going to try it now through a health regulatory tool. This is whatever was declared by the Supreme Court like that, now is in process, only that they have just present, the government has just present a proposal, might be affected, or gathered in a health provision.
It's very interesting. Ricardo, we were mentioning when we started with discussion of the black market and the percentage we still holds very much in Portugal. Is the fact that that the Portuguese regulator is allowing now new products a way of trying to reduce the black market? So because we are allowing different kind of products which are maybe not available, a method of reducing it?
Well, before I get into that, I'd like to add a little bit more detail into what has been happening. I'm the only one on this panel who's not a lawyer, so I've got a slightly different perspective about what has been happening. But what I hear is that a little bit across Europe, we're seeing more regulation, more restrictions, and when I give interviews in the Portuguese market, particularly to media, I like to stress that online gambling is already the safest place to welcome people who want to gamble, compared to all other forms of gambling, and obviously compared to the illegal market. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Surely the regulated market can evolve, and we are looking to improve the regulation and the player protection, but I think the efforts need to be exactly on eliminating the illegal market across Europe. And obviously, going back to the Portuguese market, adding new products, in 9 years, I think this is the first time that we are introducing a new product. We also haven't had any restrictions really for the last 9 years, so I must say that we haven't had new products, but also we haven't had any restrictions, so that has allowed the market to develop quite nicely. But we're at a stage where to increase channelization, we do need to see more products added to the market. Otherwise, it will be difficult to continue growing. Beyond the obvious enforcement of the regulator and the government on curbing illegal gambling.
We're very much running almost out of time, so last comment maybe from Alina. What do you think is the next step for Romania? What do you expect? Will you see a more a bigger amount of applicants coming in to getting a license? Is it now saturated? Is it more of an enforcement change? What do you expect to see?
I think the Romanian market still continues to be appealing. It still has a lot of potential of growth. We had our fair share of potential of regulatory developments in the past year in Romania. We had taxes being increased in October, including the responsible contribution fees applicable for both B2C and B2B operators, and the increases were high. We had a permanent establishment which was introduced for B2C operators. But all of these regulatory developments did not affect the market in the sense that operators are not interested to enter. We've seen interest in the market. We are still very permissive in terms of gambling advertising, so we have not that much restrictions in place. We have a lot of legislative proposals aimed at gambling advertising, spanning from total prohibition to certain restrictions, but for now, gambling advertising is free on TV, on out of home. So I still believe there's a good interest and potential for the Romanian market, despite all the regulatory involvements. And we've seen the regulator being more involved in discussing with the industry stakeholders in terms of what are the next steps in the regulatory field.
Thank you, Alina. Any final comments? Just seeing the red light coming up. Quirino, Santi. Just to close off nicely with a nice comment about...
The only comment I have is that after having heard from Spain, from Portugal, and from Romania, and from Italy, we definitely are not bound for any harmonization whatsoever
for sure.
when it comes to gaming regulations across Europe. That's it.
Well, I fully agree, but I would like, the comment that I would like to point out is that you just need to hear, and it was not my case because I arrived late, but you just need to hear most of the lawyers from different jurisdictions. All the regulatory trend is related to responsible gambling, and with that excuse, the game is being destroyed, and that's pushing players to the black market in just using the wrong flag in many occasions. And it seems in some cases there is just a question that everything started many years ago, and they are they have to do something for political reasons or whatsoever, at the same time that they don't show the real numbers related to the black market. That's my
Perfect.
5 cents.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this discussion. I'll leave you to the next one.